Yo, what up, what up? It's your boy, Mr. Vinnie-Dangerous himself, and you're tuned in to the Dangerous Minds podcast, where this is a platform for me, and, you know, if I choose to have a guest that day or not, or if I invite somebody on, it's there in my right to just say whatever comes to mind. That's what the Dangerous Minds, you know, concept came from about, because I'm tired of these politically correct people. Who knows, these sponsors, whenever they decide they want to open their pockets, they might try to shut me up, who knows. But for right now, we are as free as I can possibly do it. And I'm using this platform to speak my mind and say whatever I want to say. And that's the beauty of this podcast for me. First of all, I'd like to say a quick thank you to everybody that's been tuning in. The last couple of episodes have been getting a lot of tractions. Episodes 6 and 7 both. Like, we're almost to 1,000 combined listens altogether. So I really appreciate that, y'all. Yeah, so let's get on it. So, you know, this is July 31st, and I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of research. I've been really getting prepared because I'm about to go to war right now. And first and foremost, I like to put a disclaimer out there to all sneakerheads. This might not be the episode for you, because I'm about to pick apart one of y'all icons right now. Sport icon, sneaker icon, you know, all around dickhead to me. But, you know, we're going to get into that a little bit later. You know, I don't know what it is about me. I have a problem with retired athletes, black athletes. You know, earlier in the year, I got into a little, you know, just as a quick side note before we get into the real topic, I got into a little confrontation on Twitter with a Mr. Warren Sapp, ex-NFL player that had a lot of crazy things to say about Cam Newton after, you know, he stormed off on a press conference after him and the Panthers lost the Super Bowl. And he just didn't really feel like, you know, having those cameras in his face, taunting him and shit after defeat because they thought he was too cocky. So this man was talking mad shit. And, you know, people were directing it to me because, you know, I'm a big Cam Newton fan. I'm a big Carolina Panthers fan. I represent North Carolina to the fullest. Anything we got going, except for hockey, I can't watch it. But anything else we got going, I'm always rooting. And, you know, so, you know, that. And then the fact that, you know, he's a, you know, stand-up dude. He just plays the game. He knows he's good. He likes to have fun. He ain't shy about it. You know, so people taking offense to that, and in the same breath, he was like bigging up, you know, trying to gain support for Johnny Manziel, who is the epitome of white boy asshole. You know, he's the guy that just does whatever he wants. He can punch women in the face. He can show up to practice drunk or high off of some shit. He could go out all night and show up late to work. And then they still gonna just, you know, he's troubled and shit. But you gotta an athlete like Cam Newton that, you know, doesn't get into any trouble, doesn't get, you know, you don't hear about him doing no crazy shit. He doesn't have that kind of reputation. He's always a good, upstanding guy, and people talk shit about him just because he likes to have fun in the game and he knows he's good at what he does. So, you know, shit like that pisses me off. Me and Warren Sapp, so I had to check him real quick because I had to point out his domestic violence issues. Maybe that's why he's so, you know, up Johnny Manziel's ass. And, you know, he decided to block me. Of all people that was talking shit, because there was a lot of people talking shit. But I guess he might have went through and blocked a whole lot of people. But I just remember I was personally blocked because he just couldn't take the heat that I was going for. And I also got a problem with Charles Barkley for reasons that, you know, unless you are living on a rock or you just don't pay attention to what Kermit the Frog-looking old men have to say, you know, I have a problem with him. But there's one in particular, out of all of them, there's one in particular that I've always had this beef with ever since he retired, because he started to show his ass and show his true colors. And that is none other than possibly the greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan. Now, I will give credit where credit's due. In the game and on that court, you were the greatest of all time. I won't take that away from you. You know, if you were just a player and not a person, I wouldn't have no problem. Your skills, I can't deny those. But as soon as you got off that court and you started to really show who you were, I couldn't fuck with you, honestly. So where do we begin? So I'm bringing up Michael Jordan this week because, this past week he decided to finally get off his ass, and, he looked around and he saw all of his top customers for his overpriced sneakers getting shot up, and he decided to say, maybe I need to speak up. So he decides to put out a statement, and, he said he couldn't be silent no more. He couldn't just stand here and, watch innocent, he just said African Americans. He couldn't sit there and see African Americans get shot down, and the cowardly. Hold on, let me pull it up because I have a bunch of. That's why I said I did my research. So I said I wanted to make sure that I had my facts and stuff right when I talked about this motherfucker, because I know people was gonna come at me real fast. And he said, this is the exact quote. He said, "I have been deeply troubled by the deaths of African Americans at the hands of law enforcement, and angered by the cowardly and hateful targeting and killing of police officers." Now, before I go any further with what I have to say about this man, that one line was enough for me to say, I got to get in his ass. It's because that one line said a lot to me. That one line, he said in a very general sense, he said, "I have been deeply troubled by the deaths of African Americans in the hands of law enforcement." So he's still, he's like acknowledging that the death of African Americans, not saying that they were innocent, not saying that they were unarmed. He just said African Americans. Just kind of put it in a general sense at the hand of law enforcement. So you still give them, the law enforcement, the respect because you call them by their proper name. But then you turn around and he gets real passionate when he speaks about the deaths of the police officers, because he says he's angered by the cowardly and hateful targeting and killing of police officers. So you give the murderous police officers that, however you look at it, either they were, these profiling, murderers, or you look at them like they're the ones that are cowards because they jump at the sight of a black man and maybe reaching for the same identification that you told them to go grab, and you pop them, a couple times in the head or in the chest anyway, because you got scared. Because, police officers' job is so fucking hard to where, if they see you look like you reaching for something, they see you make a sudden move. If you cough, if you sneeze, if, you get a little twitch in your nose, they're going to automatically think you're trying to pull a weapon and their lives are in danger, so they're going to just blast you and choke you out or sever your spine. Oh yeah, by the way, it's official, all of the officers that murdered Freddie Gray have been let off the hook. So, then they wonder why these cowardly people are shooting up cops, because obviously the justice system ain't gonna do shit about it. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying, if you really don't want cops to get killed, you might want to start putting the ones that kill other people in jail, or do something other than, let them off the hook, but give the family some pity change, to be like, hey, we killed your son, and you'll never get him back, but here's a couple $1 million. The city probably could have saved itself a little bit of money if you would have just put these two fuckers in jail. But anyway, we're not even going to get into that. But that one line was enough for me to say, I got to get at Michael Jordan. So, whenever Michael Jordan's name comes up, it's kind of like when Charles Barkley's name comes up. It's like, fuck him. That is my immediate response. I don't give a fuck about his legacy. I don't give a fuck about his shoes. I don't give a fuck about him being one of our, black moguls and shit. Because Michael Jordan has always been about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan has never gave a fuck about black people. Point blank, period. And I have my facts. So I looked up, as I was doing my research, I looked up this article. I'm looking up a lot of stuff. Just want to see what people have to say about Michael Jordan, and then I can give my opinion based off some of the facts that these people will uncover. So I got on this site, this really dope site. If you're looking for a lot of different black news, it's unfiltered by other influences. It's called www.theroot.com. and they have a lot of dope stuff, a lot of dope articles about things positive and negative, new things, entrepreneurship, all that kind of stuff that's going on in the black community. So that's a quick plug for them. But it was this article by a man named Stephen A. Crockett Jr., and he wrote it yesterday. Well, he wrote it on the 26th. I'm recording this one a little early because I was really passionate. I want to make sure that I got, my feelings out as raw as possible. So he said, with all due respect, fuck you, Michael Jordan. And he talked about how, back in 1990, when African-American Senator candidate Harvey Gantt, I'm sorry if I pronounced that right. I pronounced that wrong. But he was trying to wrestle North Carolina away from the racist control of Senator Jesse Helms. And he tried to get Jordan's, support on that. Because Michael Jordan, even, at that point, he was the biggest star in the world. He was the most influential person, from the state of North Carolina, or pretty much any type of athlete that you could think of. He was the most influential that could have put, all support, and then would have gotten this brother elected. And, because, he was a Democrat, obviously, and the other guy was a Republican candidate. So Jordan's response to that, for that man asking him for support, was, Republicans wear sneakers too. A direct quote, too. This is exactly what he said to him. So, that just sums up what I don't like about Michael Jordan. The story, the 2005 story of Chamillionaire. Chamillionaire was a rapper who I felt like had a lot of promise. I don't know what happened, but, I heard he's doing fine, in other entrepreneur avenues. So I was like, good for him. But he said that he finally got to meet Michael Jordan. He was so excited about meeting Michael Jordan. And then Michael Jordan shrugged him off. Said, I ain't taking pictures with no niggas. And, he tried to, his people, his reps and stuff. Because, once the story got out, people are looking at Michael Jordan like, what? And Michael Jordan said he don't want to take no pictures with no niggas. But then, his people's, publicist and his PR team decided to go back and try to say, oh no, we're not talking about niggas as in black people as a whole. We're talking about rappers, because Michael Jordan didn't want to be associated with a rapper. I still take offense to that because I am a rapper. But, that was supposed to be okay, because not every black person that buys Jordans are rappers. There's a good number of them that think they are, and there's a good number of them that are rappers, but, not all black people, rap. So, remember when Macklemore was the biggest thing because he came out with the Same Love song, and then he came out with, Thrift Shop. And Michael Jordan took a picture with him. Now, a lot of people may not consider Macklemore hip-hop. Regardless how you feel about him and his white privilege and, his really corny howdy-do type of shit that he kind of... some of his stuff is good. I'm not going to completely dismiss Macklemore, but a lot of that shit is really corny to me. Even if you take out of the context and the timing of the Same Love song, when I first heard it, I heard it before it was this big national sensation. I heard it, back when the album first dropped, because I gave it a chance, because one of my favorite hip-hop sites, Hip Hop DX, gave it a dope review. I think the shit's corny. When I heard it, I was like, wow, this is really whack. But anyway, so, Michael Jordan takes a picture with him. So, I wonder what's the difference between Chamillionaire and Macklemore. But I'm not going to just sit here and say that Michael Jordan is, favoritism to, it has a favoritism to white people, even though he does have a white wife. But, I'll talk about that later. I really don't even associate that with what I'm talking about here. Him and who he decides to fucking put a ring on, that's his business. But it's Michael Jordan, all he cares about is putting money in his pocket. And on one level, it's like, hey, but, there's a lot of, just the fact that you had the nerve to say something now is just what kind of pisses me off, because you said it when it was the safest. You're a made man. You're a billionaire at this point in your life. You don't have anything to lose, because you know that they're still going to buy your shoes. They're still going to support your legacy because you're a made man at this point. Michael Jordan will never, his legacy as a athlete is so untouchable that anybody that even tries to come close to being compared to him is automatically crucified. And, so that's all well and good. Like I said, I will not discredit talent. I will give credit what credit's due. You were a talented basketball player. I don't know how you can do now. You're pretty old and weighed down by your money pockets, your blood money and stuff that you've made off of these, these overpriced, pretty much down payment on a car type of shoes. And, I just have a problem. I have a problem with you. I have a problem with you a lot. I wish I actually pulled up a picture of Michael Jordan right now. Like, if y'all were actually seeing me right now, I pulled up a picture of Michael Jordan. I'm looking him dead in the eyes, and I'm letting him know from the bottom of my heart, fuck you. Because here's another example. So on the Chicago Bulls team, this is coming from the same article from TheRoot.com. He talked about a former basketball player by the name of Craig Hodges. Craig Hodges, back in 1992, went to the White House with the rest of the Chicago Bulls team. And they all were wearing suits. Except for him, he decided to wear a dashiki. He used the platform of being in the White House. This is in 1992. He used, and the president at the time was George H.W. Bush, the father of George W. Bush. And he passed him a note, and he said, and basically the note was just talking about, when are you going to do more for the black community? And that got him blackballed from the NBA. That's I guess a conspiracy. But I mean, right after that action, they called it an embarrassment, and he pretty much not only got released from the Chicago Bulls, but he wasn't playing on any other team. He had something to lose at that point, and he decided to still speak up. And then Michael Jordan just stayed back and said, "I ain't got nothing to do with this motherfucker because I'm Michael Jordan." You thinking Michael Jordan is the biggest athlete in the world. Even that, early on, he was the biggest athlete in the world. They had just won the championship for I think the first or second time. Don't quote me on that shit. And he had the power. He had the authority. He could have been like, yo, let my boy back on. He didn't even have to speak up. As far as a community thing, he could have just spoke up just to get that man back on the team and, try to have his back. And then Michael Jordan said, nah, fuck him. He the dumbass that decided he wanted to care about these niggas. That's what Michael Jordan does. Like, I've never bought a pair of Jordans. I've never even had an interest in a pair of Jordans. I've never bought any Jordan clothing. I've never bought a Jordan jersey. I've never even bought the movie Space Jam because I don't like this motherfucker. I watch it on free TV because they ain't shit else to do on a Saturday morning. But other than that, I'm not fucking with it. It's pretty, when you take it out of context, it's got a historical context to it. It's a pretty bad movie to really sit through. If you're not watching it for nostalgic purposes or the fact that you really love the Looney Tunes, and you love Michael Jordan, especially in that time, that's a pretty bad movie. But people gonna really hate me for that one. But I'm just saying, I've never been a Michael Jordan fan because of things like that. Now, on the contrast, what really should be making the news is the WNBA. Because those women, took a stand. They wore shirts, saying right before the game, they wore shirts that said Black Lives Matter, and then they were in tribute to Alden Sterling and Mr. Philando Castile. God, I'm sorry. I was really about to botch that name. I don't know why it's no disrespect. I just been really bad about getting that name pronounced. But yeah, and then they're being fined for taking that stand, and police officers that were at the game walked out on them. And they're risking, money, and they're risking possible sponsorships. I haven't heard anything about anybody losing any sponsorships at this point, but they took a real stand when they had something to lose, because they know the difference between right and wrong, and they're not going to be slaves to these sponsors and these, athletic commissions and all these people that want to try to turn you into this robot. When Marshawn Lynch was saying that he didn't want to do interviews, so he would get crazy or silent, or he just wouldn't really talk, or he'd say the same thing over and over again. It was because he didn't want to be a slave. I remember when somebody copied him. It was a basketball player copied him and did the same thing on an interview, and somebody hit him in the mouth with a microphone. And then people were actually commenting and saying stuff like, well, that's what he get, because they get paid to talk to the media. And I was like, no, they get paid to play basketball and sell those fucking tickets in that arena. And, you using their likeness in these video games, and they're selling jerseys, and they're selling merchandise, and they're selling all types of stuff. That's what they do. They do exactly what they were signed to do, which was play basketball. Fuck the media. Because all they're going to do is, unless you say the most politically, aka the most robotic shit possible, they're going to twist your words around and make you sound like a bad guy. So maybe I don't want to be fucking villainized, or I don't want to be a robot reading off the same script that the other 500 players have done right before they touch this damn microphone. Maybe that's why. And then, that started with Michael, because before him, there was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There was other athletes that were speaking up. And, the way it's looking like, the WNBA got more balls than Michael Jordan. And I don't mean that no disrespect to the ladies on the team. I'm just saying they got more courage. They got more, I got more respect for them. I got more respect from them in that one moment than I've had in anything that I read from that statement that Michael Jordan made, or anything of his whole career. I have more respect for those ladies, and I can't name them, but I will make sure that I go out and I find out who they are, and I will pay respect to them. I will give them praise, because they are the real people that, as far as who's making a statement in the past 2 weeks, they're the ones that need the praise, and Michael Jordan just need to sit down, because guess what? Just like my man Mr. Crockett said on TheRoot.com, you are 400 years late. You are 400 years late. And just because you decided to send money to the NAACP's legal department, which, if they're the ones that are supposed to be defending these people that are getting shot, just like I said, Freddie Gray's case pretty much got thrown out. They labeled it a homicide, but at this point, nobody killed him. It must have been just the invisible man that decided to just sever his spine and shit. Because all 6 officers are pretty much exonerated. So, who y'all donate all this money to these people and they ain't did shit. Hey, I'm just stating facts for anybody that felt some type of way. But, ain't nobody been to jail yet. So, the NAACP might want to get some new lawyers or some new people on their team. Because obviously the ones that they got ain't really working. But just because you decide to donate $1 million to them, but you turn around and you also donate $1 million to the police officers, that says it right there. It's like you're just playing it safe. You're riding that line. Michael Jordan is not the hero that we need at this time, because he's not going to really say it. He's going to say what he has to say to not just appease y'all, but he's trying to keep himself safe. He doesn't really care about black people. But he honestly isn't doing it for the white people either. He's doing it for their money. But he's saying his little bit because, I guess if all of his best customers are getting shot down in the street, he broke at that point because he's still living off the sneakers. I don't know what kind of investments he got. I want to know, does Michael Jordan think about speaking out when he hears about people fighting at his shoe releases and people getting killed and shot? Not too long ago, a 22-year-old Joshua Woods was killed after purchasing his shoes. Did he think about donating money to his mother and his family? And, making up for that, did he ever think that maybe there's a better way to do this to where people aren't getting shot and killed, and the fact that your money is a symbol of murder at this point? You got blood on your shoes and you're not doing anything about it. It was just, and then it's funny because there's been so many black people getting killed since Trayvon Martin. Okay, let me not say that. There's Sean Bell, there's a whole long list of them. He didn't say anything back in the 90s when Rodney King got beat up. He didn't speak up then. He kind of was like, you know what? I don't want to piss off these white people because they're buying my shoes too. I don't want to piss off anybody because I want everybody to, have money to spend on me, and they won't spend money on me if I'm speaking against some shit, even though I know it's wrong. Out of all these people that have been getting killed and getting beat up and getting abused by the police, it's funny because you notice that Michael Jordan did not speak up until police officers started getting shot. He didn't want to say anything last year when Sandra Bland got killed, or even, a little further than that when Michael Brown got killed, or when John Crawford got killed, or, the list goes on and on. He didn't say anything when Freddie Gray got killed. But Michael Jordan, just has a lot to say when police officers get killed. And, that's all I got to say. We're only 2 minutes. I've had a lot to say about Michael Jordan. And, I've only have 2 more minutes left. I'm not even going to do any plugs. If you want to check out anything else I'm doing, go to www.Vinnie-Dangerous.com. And I just want to end this show off with this. In a time that it just feels like we are the most attacked, and that, we have Donald Trump running for president, and we have, these people who see us get murdered on these cameras, and they act like they don't give a fuck. Now people are not being so discreet about how they feel about us. They are being as vocal and as being as hateful as possible. I need y'all to listen to my voice and remember this. Pick your heroes wisely. Pick the people that we decide to follow wisely, because we don't want to fall for the Trojan horse. We don't want to fall for the guys that's being put in place to keep us in line, to keep us smiling while we get a bullet to our head. And that's all I got for today. It was wrapped up the 8th episode of the Dangerous Minds podcast. I'm your boy Vinnie-Dangerous, and I'll be back with you next week. Y'all have a good one.